So welcome to the Business Solution Showcase. The whole concept of this is that there's a lot of great things you come across, or that I've come across, that in 4 or 5 minutes, I say, holy mackerel, where has this been? I need to sign up right now. And a few of them I've invited here. Others are simply in that category. You don't need an hour-long, a 2-hour-long presentation. You need 5 minutes to either say, this is something I desperately need and I want to sign up for it right now, especially at something in a $0 to $100 a month price point. Or after 5 minutes, you say, yeah, this isn't really something I need. It's not a fit. I wonder what's next. And then you run to the kitchen and you grab a cup of coffee and you come back and the next one's starting. So that's the concept here, is sort of rapid fire, a whole bunch of powerful tools. It was actually Captivate, when I discovered them, was one of those things that 5 minutes in to hearing Mark talk about Captivate, I was like, I need this. Where has this been all my life? And it costs how much? Holy mackerel, sign me up. PodMatch has been a powerful tool for me. I was also talking to Mitch with Clientfolio, again, one of those things where I heard it and I said, if somebody needs it, if they don't need it, they'll know in 5 minutes they don't. And if they do need it, then know in 5 minutes, yeah, I do. This is definitely a valuable thing for me. So that is the concept, is we're going to have 9 such products presented to you. I'll be putting the link in the chat to sign up for it. And that's basically the whole thing. So each of you who are presenting will have 10 minutes. There are 1 or 2 of our partners who I don't see on the call. So it is possible. Either I'll present if I'm familiar with it, or if I'm not, there will be a link on the registration page and you can take a look, because my entire team is in this one box. So, but the rest of our team is, of course, all of our presenters who have been promoting to their audiences and bringing people in, because each of our presenters is solving one of their audience's problems, but not all the rest of their problems. So that's it, is to bring everyone together and do that. So our first presenter is going to be Adrian with contact mapping. I will give you permission to share the screen if you need to do so. And I will give you the big spotlight. Here you go. Have the big spotlight and tell us about contact mapping.
Awesome. Thanks so much for putting this together, Michael. So my name is Adrian Chanel. I am the co-founder of Contact Mapping. And what we have done is created something that is extremely simple and intuitive to help anybody who is a marketer, who's an entrepreneur, who's in business for themselves, who's in sales, to be able to be far more efficient and effective in creating opportunities from the connections that they're making everywhere in their life, not even just in their business life, in their personal life, whether that's, dropping off kids at school, whether that is part of a social circle that you're a part of in some way. What we fundamentally believe is that human beings are human beings, and that the value that can be created from developing a system to keep track of all of these amazing people who you're meeting across everything that you do is incredibly powerful. And I think we all understand that in some way. And yet we perhaps struggle because it just feels like there are so many things coming at us all the time. It feels like, gosh, I don't need yet one more tool to do this thing for me because I'm already too busy keeping up with the things that I already have. And so the core concept behind contact mapping that we've created is for people who value relationships, who understand that all good things come through relationships, whether it's the next job opportunity, whether it's a referral, whether it's just genuine happiness and joy and satisfaction in your life. It is a way for you to be able to manage and to keep up with those things without it becoming this big, overwhelming, exhausting thing. And so how do we do that? We do it in 2 different ways. Number 1, we started with an app on your phone. So we don't expect you to have to start all over from scratch and have to populate all this stuff and get overwhelmed. Instead, contact mapping functions as a layer on top of the contacts you already have in your life. We add to that the ability to connect it to all the different social media platforms that you're using to grow your business. So we tie into LinkedIn, we tie into Facebook, to Instagram, to Twitter, to Clubhouse, and we're constantly adding more platforms to that to just make it easy so that it's like, I met this person here, I'm able to create or tag them against who they are and what they've created right there. And then from there, I'm able to just capture a handful of notes. So it's on your phone as well as on your desktop computer, and it's incredibly simple to use. So I wanted to give a little overview before actually diving in and showing you a little bit about what this looks like so you can get a sense for how it works. So I am going to go ahead and share my screen here, and I'm going to show you what it would look like for you to create a brand new contact from the contact mapping portal. So I'm going to show the desktop version because it'll be a little bit easier for you to see and follow along with here. Everything that we do is seamlessly synchronized between your phone and your desktop. And so wherever you enter it, it's there with you, it's there instantly, and it's a fantastic way to be able to keep up with relationships and to create more opportunities as a result. So this is the dashboard of the contact mapping desktop version, which you can use inside of any browser. It's a simple way where on a daily basis, you are going to see, here are the people who I am supposed to follow up with today. I've got a listing of, this is that group of people. I can tag through them and go, wait, who was that person again? Or what was this? And so it gives me a simple, quick way to be able to say on a daily basis, okay, cool, I'm going to follow up with these people today. And so some of those might be an active conversation around a business opportunity. Others of those might be people who are important in your life somehow that you put on what we call a rotation. So maybe it's once a month, once a quarter, every 6 months, whatever it is, we're keeping our relationships warm and growing without doing a ton of work. So we're able to create contacts, to add notes, to set follow-ups with any of our contacts right from here. And so I want to show you what that looks like. So I'm going to use Michael as my example here. I'm going to come over here. Here's Michael on LinkedIn. I'm able to, once we're connected, I can grab his contact info if I want to do that. Let me move. Sorry, I got to make it so I can see what I'm doing here. All right. So I'm right here on Michael's profile. So I am able to go into, we have a Chrome extension or a browser extension where I'm able to pull this up. And let's say Michael and I just had started connecting on social media. Well, I can create Michael directly as a contact right from his LinkedIn profile. Same thing with Facebook, same with anything else. And I think I may have already done this with him once before. So this is going to be interesting because it'll show you what it looks like. It already has pulled his LinkedIn handle automatically just by me being on his page. So I'm going to create him as a contact. I must have done that someplace else. So here's Michael. And so I'm able to type a few notes about what I want to remember. So met him through a friend who is a client of his, whatever it is that I want to remember. And I can save that note quickly and instantly. And then immediately it's prompting me to do the next right thing. So the next right thing is, when am I going to follow up with Michael? So, maybe it's something where there's something pressing where I need to follow up right away. Or maybe I put him out a month and I say, hey, I want to just stay in touch with this guy. I liked him. There was a connection there. So I have a process to decide what is my frequency that I want to stay in touch with people to help me to continually build a network that is growing and that pays without having to have a whole bunch of overhead and pain to make that happen. So I create that follow-up. The other thing that we're able to do that is really powerful for you is we end up having all these conversations all over the place across various social media platforms, right? So I was talking to this person on Facebook, this person on LinkedIn, and so on. Where was that conversation, and how can I track back to it when somebody mentions something that relates to another person who I'd met, and I'm doing that head scratching thing where I'm not able to keep up with it? And so what we are able to do is we can actually pull directly from your messages to be able to pull in that content and make it extremely simple. So I'm going to use this guy, Rob, as an example. We'll pretend that Rob is Michael, just as a little illustration here. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to pull up Michael in my contacts. I've already got him here, and I can come here and I can click on add a note. And then I can simply click this button here that says clip conversation. And immediately it's going to pull the full content of that conversation directly into my notes. So now I'm able, in a really simple, easy way, to be able to keep up with that conversation, to track back to it and go, who was the person that was talking about this or whatever, and find that instantaneously. So it becomes this really powerful way to be able to find things. And so now what starts to happen is that you are creating, and so you can see Michael's tagged here as a contact that I've just mapped. I didn't have to refresh or anything like that. He's also on my phone. And so what happens is I create this database of searchable, easy to tap into knowledge about the people in my network that I can tap into in a moment's notice. And so all I need to do in order to do that is I can search based on literally anything that I might want to remember about that person. So I'm going to come up here. Let's say I search for, oh, maybe I misspelled it. So here, we'll just say event. So, I met somebody at XYZ event, that's obviously kind of a goofy example. I can find somebody based on literally any keyword of anywhere in my notes to be able to track back to that person. So when I'm going to a new city, when I am, and might want to meet people for coffee, I can go, who was it that I talked to that lived in such and such place? I'm able to identify and track back to these connections far more quickly and powerfully. And all of that goes with me wherever I go. And so when I'm on my phone, when I'm out and about, that same set of principles applies, where I'm able to instead be able to go into my phone and to simply speak into my phone the things that I want to remember. And so as I'm doing that, I might walk out of that meeting, I might walk out of that social interaction, whatever it is, and I'm able to directly from my phone, it's just syncing up over here so I can get it up on the screen. I'll show you what it looks like from the phone. I'm able to quickly and easily dictate the information that I want to be able to remember right from there. So, here's Michael. I can tap into his contact. I can see any information, including a history of all the conversations that we've had. I can see any upcoming follow-ups. And from there, let's say there's more that I want to add. I could pop this open, and I literally will do this as I'm walking out to my car, or after I hang up a call, I'll dictate, use your voice to capture the most important information that you want to be able to remember about every conversation. So we designed this to be simple, quick, and easy to use across any platform and to use it on the go, so that everything that you do will be trackable across every place that you're using it. So if you understand the power of relationships to help you grow your business and to create more value for yourself and for others, contact mapping is the simplest, easiest way to do that. And you can go ahead and get started right now. I know Michael shared a link in the chat. I'm actually going to share a slightly different link that will allow you to check out more about it while still tracking back to that affiliate link. So I'll share that in the chat right now. And so I think my 10 minutes is up. Thank you, Michael.
All right, that was pretty awesome. And I don't know if you're watching the chat there, but there were a lot of people who said things like, wow, and love this, and wow, the ultimate CRM. So it's almost like I brought the right people to this event. Nice.
How about that? All right, perfect. And I just shared a link that takes you to our full website, tracked through Michael, except that I did it wrong. So I'm going to do it again so that I do it right this time.
Don't use that link. Use the one he's about to put in there.
Yeah, there we go.
Yep. Yeah, and so I do ask everyone to use links I'm putting in the chat. And the reason being to pull back the curtain on the business model here. So this is a free event for you to attend. I'm not charging our participants anything to be here. So it's a partnership where you go through the link that we use here, and I get a percentage for all of my work to put this together. It doesn't cost you anything extra. In fact, some of them may include, discounts and bonuses if you use the right link. So I win, they win, you win, everybody wins. So that's how we do it. But so I just ask you to use that link and not just go and Google them and find them that way, because then Google gets credit, not me, and that makes me sad. Don't make me sad. Okay. And Ramesh, do you have a question? I see your hand is up. It looks like no. Okay.
Sorry, no,
Oh.
I don't have.
Okay.
Okay.
Not a problem.
It was an accident.
No problem. And Alex, do you have a question?
I do. Do we have time for that? Just want to make sure I'm not jumping in.
Sure. Yeah. Let's take keep it short, but I think we should be able to do that.
Cool. Okay. Adrian, great presentation there. First off, really good. I appreciate you sharing all that. It was really clear what you guys do. Quick question. Do you all have a way to categorize groups of people? Example, I have been looking for a new CRM, so this is perfect for me. But I like to keep all of my past podcast guests in the same group, if you will. So all of them have past, it literally is called past podcast guests. So that way I can kind of keep them all in the same grouping. Do you guys have ways to do that? You're nodding yes. I'm going to assume it's yes.
Yeah, okay. Totally. So there's and we could go offline. However, we use a simple hashtagging system to make it simple for you to create tags like that for whatever you want to do. So yes.
Very cool. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. So our next presenter, who I don't actually see on the call. So the next one I have in line is Entrepreneurs Rocket Fuel, Kimberly Crow, who I don't know if she's here. So if not, then we'll go ahead to Mimiran, now spelled correctly. So Ruben, if you want to take it away, I'll give you the spotlight.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me, Michael and Adrian. Great presentation. And it's really kind of funny that we're back to back because clearly we have been dealing with some not identical, but very similar issues. I am a former consultant and I used to consult with Fortune 500 companies, helping them with their sales and marketing and, helping them set up their sales force and all that. And the irony was I was absolutely terrible at my own sales and marketing and hated using Salesforce and drove myself almost insane trying, and accidentally ended up creating my own CRM, the one that I wished I had had when I was a consultant struggling to use these more enterprisey tools. And a lot of the things that Adrian talked about, just like how do we nurture relationships authentically, that was really the thing. I'm like, hey, I actually like talking to people. I like building relationships. I don't like selling. I don't like marketing. I don't like being pushy. So how do we do that if we're an independent consultant in a way that is true to our mission? So I'm going to share my screen and just step you through a few concepts because people always say, okay, you got an anti-CRM. What exactly does that mean? How is that different than a regular CRM? So first of all, on our dashboard, you can see some basic metrics like how many referrals did you get? How many web leads did you get? Numbers that we should be able to see at a glance, but are often hard for us to pull out of traditional CRMs. How many conversations did we have? That's really the critical thing, I think, for keeping things moving. How many are overdue? This is not a good sign. And then if we've got any proposals in flight, being able to see all those in one place. And then because this is really targeted at independent consultants, people who are not part of a big sales team, we have this conversation leaderboard where you can connect with other users in the system. And all it will do is compare how many conversations are you having and how many are they having. So it gives you a little bit of social motivation, kind of like working out with a friend instead of trying to work out in your living room and maybe not being super motivated, especially when you get started. Now, the other thing you can see here is we've got this giant green button to define mission, positioning, and superhero name. Because when you work for yourself, one of your superpowers is you get to define your own positioning. And a lot of folks don't do a great job at this. They kind of hide how awesome they are. They're like, I'm a business consultant and I help businesses with business problems, along with 8 zillion other people on the planet. And then nobody knows that you're the right person for them. So you can come in here and work on who is my actual ideal client. So say I help small business owners who are in Austin and they would like, I can never type when I'm doing a demo, like to pass on business to children without alienating some family members, etc. What's their pain, etc. Basically, you can go through all this, kind of play Mad Libs and really hone in on an elevator pitch, have that also flow into making sure that your homepage reflects all that, your About Me page, lead magnets, call scripts, LinkedIn profile, etc., content calendar. Everything's talking about what you do for your ideal prospect so you can be actually solving their problem instead of hiding behind a bunch of generic BS. And then something else that's important, instead of saying like, I'm a consultant, you could say, I am the somebody, I am the superhero name, I am Batman kind of thing. And then you don't have a resume or a bio, you're a superhero. So you have an origin story, tell that origin story. It's a really powerful story for how you got where you are. Let people know what it is. Once you have all this in place, it makes everything else exponentially easier because you're going to attract the right people and the wrong folks are not going to be coming to you. As I tell people, it's like, don't try to convince people who don't need knee surgery that they need knee surgery. Like worst case scenario, you're successful at talking them into it and then everything really goes to hell. So attract the folks who are going to be great fits for you and push away the other folks, send them to the people who are a better fit for them. Now, like any good CRM, we have a list of people involved. And again, kind of like Adrian was talking about, we want to be able to categorize these people and we want to be able to keep in touch with them. So the idea here is we can define tags and the tags can have a conversation frequency associated with them that just gives us an idea of how often we want to have an actual conversation with people. And here's where, maybe Adrian's got a slightly more slick automated view of it. And mine is deliberately old school, low tech. I do not want to count email or social interactions. I want to count actual conversations because otherwise I'm an introverted techie and I will not actually have real conversations. So In here, let's say I want to look at my prospects, I can create a recurring calendar appointment with myself that basically says, let's make prospect calls and let's do that every week. So at the end of the week, I don't get to Friday afternoon and think, gosh, prospecting was my number one thing, but I got really busy and I didn't get around to doing it. So here you can put this stuff on your calendar, make sure it happens. That calendar alert goes off. It's going to jump you right back into this screen. You hit start call mode and it takes you to the first person in that tag that you're supposed to talk to. So no more staring at a giant list of people thinking, gosh, I know I need to reach out to all these people, but I'm not sure who I should be talking to right now. Let me just talk to this person. So I can click these buttons and actually place the call. So I actually spend a bunch of my time looking kind of like this with my headphones in, just talking to people. And instead of having that sort of tense feeling at the end of the day, like I'm forcing myself to make cold calls or gosh, I don't know who to talk to. It's just like, I'm just catching up with people who are the people I already know. They're people who were referred to me, or they're people who requested lead magnets off my website. So it's never a hard conversation. I'm never talking someone into knee surgery. I'm just seeing, oh, you need knee surgery. Great. Oh, you need shoulder surgery. I know just the guy. Talk to Michael or whatever. You can also see here that we can track who's referring whom to us. So for example, this guy, Tommy, referred us to Tori. If I go to Tori's record, it's going to show us that he was referred by Tommy and so on, because a lot of these businesses, referrals and word of mouth are really the engine that drives it. But traditional CRMs don't do a good job of capturing that for reasons that I do not understand. If they had, I probably never would have had to go through all this myself. But this way we can track all that and know who's referring us, and also be able to track how much business did we get from key referral partners. So if I have a conversation here, I can take my notes and hopefully do a better job of actually taking notes than that when you're doing it for real. And then if I just hit save, it will automatically set a next conversation date for me based on the tags. So I don't have to worry about this person disappearing into the abyss if you forget to set the next task date in Salesforce, for example. And now if they say, hey, call me back on Thursday, I'm really busy right now, I can always override the tag defaults, but it's kind of there as a backstop. So unless I say, I don't want to talk to this person anymore, which happens every once in a while, and that's totally fine, then you kind of just keep in a rhythm, and there's never any pressure on an individual conversation because you always know there's more people coming. Most of us already know more people than we can really keep up with anyway. And yet most of us spend a bunch of time wishing we had more leads instead of actually keeping up with the folks that we already know. Now, that said, it's great to actually get leads off your website. I think your website has one job, that's to get you leads. Most websites are really lazy and don't do their job well because we don't ask them to do their job well. We want to be able to have our website doing work for us while we're not around, right? While we're on vacation, while we're sleeping, hanging out with our family, etc. Like, I love what I do, but I don't need to make it extra hard. I want my website, my positioning, other things to do as much of the work for me as possible. And if you're familiar with HubSpot, they're kind of like the granddaddy of lead magnet marketing. And the idea there is you stick a form on your website and they send you a PDF. And that works great if you have a giant sales team that's on the phone all day, every day. They're going to make enough contacts that it's going to work out. But if you're a solo consultant, you're hopefully with clients much of your time. You're not just on the phone all day, every day. And you probably don't have a huge volume of leads because your website is not getting 1 million visitors a month. But each lead could potentially be really valuable if you can turn them into a conversation. So what we want to do is offer value on our website so we can create lead magnets, basically take that expertise for that ideal prospect that we're trying to help and start helping them before they even talk to us, right? Like, here I am trying to put myself out of business. And unlike a PDF lead magnet that you get from HubSpot, you can actually read this on a mobile device, which is super helpful. You can do interactive stuff like capture form information. You can embed video. And most importantly, not just when someone requests it, but if they go back and read it later. So it's great to get a notification, hey, Michael grabbed a lead magnet, but you might be with a client all day. By the time you get to calling Michael back, it's too late. It goes to voicemail, just disappears. But next week, next month, whenever it is, Michael comes back and references your material again. You have a chance to reach out and have a conversation. And actually make that connection. And if someone was saying, what if I prefer a quick Zoom appointment rather than a phone call? That's great too. I don't think it's an either or. It's a yes and. And in fact, I think a Zoom conversation is better than a phone conversation because you get the screen sharing, you can see someone's face and so on. And I actually have a plugin to Zoom called Fathom that auto generates a transcript, and I will literally just copy that transcript into the notes field in my Mimiran account, and that way I have a great reference for what we talked about, and we can go back and look at the specific conversation. So let's say we've got a lead magnet set up. Now we need to be able to put it on our website. And this is where lead capture forms come in. And as I was talking about with HubSpot, they stick a form on the page. I don't particularly love that because people tend to just gloss over forms when we see them. So the idea here is we literally put the call to action button on the page. And then when you click on it, it will show a little prompt. And I can track how many impressions did I get, how many leads did I get, how many conversations did I get, and most importantly, how much revenue did I get from this? Because I don't really care about the number of leads. I care about, like, are these leads turning into clients? All I have to do is embed this into my website. And I've got this capability here, and I can customize this to make sure it matches my website. I can make this prompt pop up if they've been on the page a certain amount of time, or they scroll a certain amount of the way down, and so on. I can assign a referral partner to this. So like maybe I have a landing page dedicated to this event or to a podcast appearance or something like that. And I know everyone who comes through here, this is credit to Adrian or Alex or whomever. I can have that built in automatically. And then the idea is just stick this on your website. Folks who don't have a website, you can do a lead link, which is basically just the raw landing page. But this is a way to get new people into your world who want to talk about the stuff that you help people with, the stuff that you love talking about, that you're an expert in. And then if things go really well, then at some point you might need to send a document to a customer for a signature. So things like an NDA or a proposal template. In fact, let's take a real quick look here at this fill in the blank proposal template. I'm going to open up this draft that I've got here. You can create these drafts with a single click and then go edit the content. And you can see it's going to populate a whole bunch of information for us. I can pull up and search my notes while I'm creating the proposal. So I can create this super customized proposal in a few minutes without feeling all stressed out about it. And people think, okay, great. Wow, you got everything here. You've really spoken to me. How long did it take you to create that? Well, not very long. I can embed one or more quotes in the proposal, different things that I might want to offer to people, and I can edit that and not stress out about pricing and just put together the right offer. Embed video in the proposal. This is super handy. And then, of course, e-signature. So the idea here is it's kind of philosophically along the same lines as Adrian. Like, we want to nurture relationships and stay in touch with people, but this is really targeted at being a CRM for independent consultants, helping them make the most of the people they already know, helping them attract new leads by teaching instead of marketing, and then being able to automate the proposal process all the way through to e-signature. And if you'd like to learn more, I think Michael dropped the link in the chat. So thanks very much. Oh, thanks, Mitch.
All right, yeah, I will re-drop the link in the chat there. Let me and unshare your screen. I have so much power. All right, let me re-drop that link into the chat. And I did just get some notifications of a few people who signed up for contact mapping. So that's cool. And I bet I will get notifications for people signing up for Mimiran as well, assuming your email set up that way. But it's always good to see that. That means I brought the right people if people are signing up. So, all right, there's the link again for Mimiran. And speaking of presenters who I know are definitely the right people, the next one is Jackie Lappin from Speakertunity, who has an amazing program that I'm excited to be taking advantage of to get my feet on some more stages in the near future. So Jackie, tell us a bit about Speakertunity.
So for a little something entirely different, how many of you would like more speaking gigs? Raise your hands. So what we do at Speakertunity is get you on more stages faster and easier. and in more places. Our goal is basically to do all the research so that you don't have to go out and find your speaking gigs. We're going to provide those leads for you. And then if you don't feel like doing the outreach on them yourself, well, we have a resource called Book For You Virtual Assistants that you can retain to do the outreach on your behalf. So let me tell you what we've done. So at Speakertunity, we have gone out and we have found all kinds of different leads for you. And I'm going to go into some of these a little bit more individually. But the first one is speaker leads all over North America. It's kind of a smorgasbord, and it's really for people who are in the transformational space. And we give you meetings, venues, conferences, TEDx's, spiritual centers, bookstores, retreats, and more all in one. That's one choice. The second thing is Speakertunity Radio Insider, or Radio Insider for Business, where we give you 40 podcasts, radio shows, and videocasts every single month that you can pitch yourself to. And the third choice is Speakertunity Summits, which gives you virtual summits that are looking for guest presenters. Yes, I spend my last week of the month looking for those virtual summits, and giveaways looking for partners. So if you want to grow your list so that you can get on more summits, then you will find all of those all in one place. Now, I'm very excited about our newest resource, Speakertunity Conference Connections. Speakertunity Conference Connections is designed to bring all of the conferences in our industry and beyond, basically a clearinghouse of all events and conferences and trade shows in one place that are looking for speakers. So we're aggregating them all in one place. We have over 3,000 already for you ready to go. That's what's very, very cool. You can jump in there and you can sort them by category. We have 20 categories, 40 subcategories. You can choose which ones are live, virtual, or hybrid. They'll identify if we know that they pay, or you're speak to sell, or pay to play. We have, we'll send you reminders monthly to come back and check for the newest content. And we have given it to you in a way that you can just download the sections that you want. Now we're adding about 1,000 of these every month. So it's always going to be current. And the ones after their submission link is finished, they're off the charts, and there's going to be new, fresh stuff in there all the time. Now, the reason I told you about these individual products is because they are what you can choose from for our basic new Speakertunity membership program, Speakertunity members only. And when you go to that page, you have a choice of one of those 5 products. And I'm going to repeat them very quickly: Speakertunity Conference Connections, Speakertunity Summits, Speakertunity Radio Insider, which is for life-enhancing radio shows, Speakertunity Radio Insider for business, B2B radio shows and podcasts, and those are both podcasts and radio shows. And lastly, for our aggregation of speaker leads for the Transformation Leader, you can pick one of those and get access to not only that product, but our new speaker showcase, where speaker bookers will be able to find you as a member. And lastly, our Speakertunity, I'm doing a little flipping in and out here, sorry guys. And lastly, I'm entirely disappearing. And lastly, you can you'll get access to our resource collective. It's kind of the yellow pages for people who serve the speaker industry. And by the way, if you're here, we'd love to have you come and join in that speaker collective if you serve speakers. But the members get access to one product, the showcase, and the speaker collective, and our community at level 1. Now, here's what's really great about it. It's only $47 a month for 3,000 conferences. Now, once you get that, you also have the option to up level. Our upper levels of the programs include all of the products I just told you. And here's one that's really cool. We do regional speaker lead directories with thousands of speaker leads just in your own market. We've got 75 markets in the US and Canada for meetings, venues, and associations. Or if you don't want all the variety that we provide there in your own market, you can get our specialty directories, which gives you a niche specialty, all the meetings, venues, and associations contacts for a niche specialty. You want women's business, entrepreneurs, healthcare professionals, coaches, human resources, spiritual centers, parenting. We've got 60 different specialties for you to pick from. And when you're in the upper levels of our membership program, you get to choose from about 135 choices between them all, and you can choose 6 of the ones that are most pertinent to you. So I really encourage you to take a quick look. Yes, those links are in there. Go to members only, pick one that you are most interested in, and then if you want interested in the upper levels, you're going to get an opportunity to jump up into them right away. We'll present them, show you what the offer is, and then you can take advantage. Now, just so you know, at Speakertunity, we sell everything a la carte, but the membership is the great value. This is where it's so easy to take advantage of these things right away, and they'll all be in your dashboard so that you can go and get them when you want them, how you want them, and keep a steady stream of leads coming in so that you never have to worry about where your next client is coming from again, because you will be on more stages and constantly having a steady flow of those stages and opportunities. So, Michael, have I missed anything?
That was pretty comprehensive. And all right, let me come join you in the spotlight. So does anyone have a question for Jackie? Otherwise, oh, look, I just think I just saw a hand come up. There it is. Jessa, you have a question?
Hi, Jackie. Thank you so much. That was a beautiful presentation. And I was listening, but I was excited about everything that you were saying. And you said it in the beginning, there was one part that I didn't quite catch the distinguishment as it flowed along. There was one thing in particular that I heard you mention was ideal if you were in the transformational space.
Yes, that is Speakertunity Speaker Leads. And that product basically aggregates leads from all over North America. And by the way, everything we have includes Canada. And so it aggregates leads in these categories: meetings, associations, conferences. And those conferences basically are evergreen. If you want real life right now, that's conference connections. But these are that repeat annually most of the time. And then we also give you TEDx's, we give you spiritual centers, retreat centers, and bookstores. So if you're delivering a personal growth message, this is the tool for you.
And so that would be separate from the other tools that was like the silver, the gold, or the platinum. It's a completely—
Well, it means that if you come into silver, you can choose that option.
Okay.
That's the option you can choose. Now, if you were somebody who preferred conferences, you could choose that one. So in other words, you get one product at silver level. You get more products as you go up.
I see. And is most of it virtual or some of them live stages? Because I do both. I'm comfortable speaking either way.
Well, in that particular product, we have not identified one way or the other. We've just identified that there's an opportunity. We consider these evergreen opportunities, but with the way things are coming and going. Some are on stages, some are back. So we can't go ahead and update everything for on each of those on an ongoing basis. So we just tell you where they are. And when you're exploring it with the leader and expert who is the coordinator for that booking opportunity, you can find out what the status is at that time. The one place where we do identify, which is live, virtual, or hybrid, will be in conference connections.
Very cool. Very cool. Thank you so much. Great platform. That there's a lot to take in there, because you also mentioned virtual support. As far as booking, speaking.
Right. When you go in and become a member, you will be on your dashboard. You'll see an entry to book for you virtual assistants. And at that point, if you want to explore having them to do that for you, you can go to that next level.
Super cool. Love it. Love it. Love it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And there's a question. Can you tell me if that plan includes TEDx's? Well, No and yes. TEDx is not available in the lower 2 levels of the program, but it is available a la carte. So if you go over to Speakertunity, we have a directory of TEDx's that has 550 US and Canada. We just updated it just a couple of weeks ago, goes out to about the middle of 2023. And it sorts them by date and by state or province so that you can see what's in proximity to you. It makes it really easy. Now, if you migrate all the way up to platinum, it's included. So your choices are a la carte or go all the way to platinum to get it. I hope that helps you, Layla.
All right. We need quicker buttons here on Zoom. All right. Well, thank you so much, Jackie. This has been great, and I'm sure, as I said, I know I'm excited to start using some of that stuff. Get myself more stage. I'm sure other people are as well. So the great thing with Speakertunity is resources to find stages and either to yourself be able to do applications or to have your team apply for you or to hire Jackie's team to apply for you as well. Another thing in the speaker theme, where the presenter actually is not here, which I'm a little surprised by, probably because she's off doing 6 other things, because that's how Kimberly Crow rolls. But I'm going to briefly introduce that concept because it goes well with Speakertunity. And if you like one, you like the other, they work well together. So Kimberly Crow, who did a great job promoting and bringing people in here. Did anyone here because Kimberly Crow brought them in? Move to gallery view. Okay, I do see some hands. Good. Yeah, so she may have brought you here, and then she's off, doing 1,000 other Kimberly things. But if you're not familiar, she runs an event called Speakers Playhouse, which is kind of like if you take regular networking and then turn it up on 2x speed and turn up the volume. So if you're looking for stages or looking for speakers, it's a high intensity 90 minutes drinking out of the fire hose. Sometimes people go there the first time they go. Some people, if you're like ADHD and high energy like me, you're like, that's amazing. And other people are like, all right, I'm ready next time. I'll be ready next time. But it's a great network event, very high impact. A lot of people, they get up with their stages, say, I got the stages looking for these speakers, got these stages looking for these speakers. And then the speakers come up and say, here's my talk. I'm looking for this kind of stage. And a lot of connections get made very rapid fire. And the best part about Speakers Playhouse is the only cost is your time. So there is no cost to attend. And I thought I had the link rapid fire and I could put it in here. Wait, hold on. So it is every Thursday. You can go to that link right there and you can sign up. And it's some people go every week. Some people drop in whenever they can. But it is so yeah, if you don't like online network events because they're kind of boring and slow, then you'll love Speakers Playhouse because it is neither boring nor slow, but it is a bit intense, but very powerful. So that's the quick summary that I have for that. If Kimberly were here, then, well, if Kimberly were presenting, then like your hair would be blown back by the energy. So, so you've been warned, but it is awesome. I highly encourage it. And the next one, if today's Tuesday, next one is this Thursday. So click there, get the information, and I encourage you to check that out. So speaking of things I encourage you to check out, next up, you're going to hear about Captivate, which is the platform upon which spotlight Danny here, the platform upon which I run all of my podcasts, because when I first heard about it, as he was explaining, I'm like, wait, so unlimited podcasts and it can automatically put in ads. If you've ever heard a podcast where the ads change, or you listen to a 2-year-old episode, but it has an ad for something coming up next week, and you're like, wow, how'd they do that? Captivate has that built in, plus about 97 other features. Plus you pay once, for my old platform, I was paying as much for one podcast as I pay on Captivate for everything I'm doing. So I cannot say enough about Captivate, but Danny's actually gonna talk about it. So I'm going to shut up and let him actually formally present, but they are super good. And Danny, take it away. Tell people why it's awesome.
I think you've just done my job for me, Michael. Thanks for that. I'm glad you're appreciating the platform. Yeah, Captivate FM, we're the world's only growth-oriented podcast host. And we basically have 2 simple mantras for all our podcasters. We provide you the tools and the features you need to save you time. And by saving that time, you can concentrate on your content and make more money or grow your podcast or grow your expertise in leadership or whatever way you want to grow, use your podcast to grow your own brand or your own business, etc. And as Michael says, we offer our features are available to every single podcaster across all plans from day one. We don't hide anything behind any premium upgrades. You don't have to pay more to get, say, a private podcast or better analytics or anything like that. And we make sure that any feature, we're all passionate podcasters ourselves. You can see I've got my little mic here, my little wall padded up and everything, got that little cliched podcaster look. So we're all passionate podcasters at Captivate. So every single feature we release is purely to help you grow as a podcaster. If it won't do that, or if it won't save you any time, we don't release that feature. It's as simple as that. And the 4 things I'm going to talk about today in the 10-minute slot I've got is affordability, as Michael mentions, unlimited podcasts, our Amy solution, which is our dynamic ads and dynamic content platform, and simple website integration. So I'm going to just go and share my screen and hopefully not mess things up, because I need to be over here. And I've lost it already. Where's it gone? That should be.
This is Daniel building up suspense.
I know, right? I couldn't find my screen. This is what I'm saying. I moved from Zoom to Teams, and it's just gone. So if I swap screens now, and let me just minimize myself over here, you should be able to see the Captivate dashboard in front of you. So the Captivate dashboard, we've made it really clean and easy to navigate. So again, goes back to the mantra, saving time. So we don't want you having to look all over the place to find the stuff that you need. But you can see that the dashboard is feature rich. So we break it down into various sections. So content management, where you'll manage your episodes, your audio library, and your show notes. And show notes is your dynamic show notes that allows you to set up templates that you can use in every single episode. So instead of having to copy paste any notes, etc., create a template, and that will be your default template every single time you create a brand new episode. It'll have all the information there that you would normally copy paste into a new episode. You can see your analytics in their own little section under insights. Same with research and planning, which allows you to use our free Chrome extension. And if you have a podcast that's very research heavy, or you want to, going back to the CRMs that we saw earlier, you want to get some information about a guest, etc., you can use our Chrome extension and be on LinkedIn, be on the guest website, be on a website that's got some research about the podcast topics or episode topics, and they will be saved here in your episode planning and research link section, ready for you to allocate to the next episode that you're going to create. Amy, as I mentioned, is our in-house built-in dynamic ad and content solution, which I'll go deeper into, further in. And then on the promotion side, we have a whole bunch of tools to help you market and grow your podcast, which includes attribution links. So you can create your own tracking links and track how successful a podcast share is. Does a certain guest get more shares and more listens and more downloads than another guest? Does a certain topic get more downloads? So this is a great way to create a simple, short, easy to remember attribution link and as I mentioned, track the success of your campaigns. Marketing links is where you can add all the podcasts apps that your show is currently on. And these apps will then appear on your Captivate site if you use that, or the Captivate podcast player, or your single promo landing page, which is like a super easy, clean feature that allows you to drive any visitors to, and they can choose which podcast app they can listen, to your show on. Calls to action within your podcast player. So we give you the opportunity to create 2 calls to action, which could be follow me on social media, sign up for my newsletter, etc. Any call to action that you want to happen within an episode will be shared on that podcast player. Integrations, again, it's all about saving time and making sure that your process, your podcast and episode creation flow can be a lot quicker and easier for you to manage, allowing you to just concentrate on the fun stuff like content, creating a podcast episode, sharing, inviting guests, etc. So we integrate with MailChimp and Aweber, for example, for email marketing. We integrate with Descript for episode editing, recording, and transcripts. We integrate with Zapier for automation of certain features of your podcast creation, creating downloadable reports, automatically sharing to social media, etc. So there's a whole lot of features here that, as I mentioned, we give you from day one, regardless of what plan you're on. We're firm believers at Captivate that every single podcaster should have all features available to allow you to, to experiment and to get to decide if you're a new podcaster, is podcasting going to be for you? And if not, you've not spent, you've not had to create another account to get another podcast out to test that, to see if you like it. Every single feature comes in at all plans. So the affordability is very important to us, which ties into the unlimited podcast that Michael mentioned earlier, where previously on a previous host, you may have been paying for one podcast per account. With Captivate, you can create as many podcasts as you wish on your single account. And that really allows you to experiment. As you can see here in this test account, I've got 4 podcasts currently. So we've got 3 public podcasts and 1 private podcast. Again, that's a feature that Captivate gives you right out the bat. Private podcasts are awesome if you have online courses. If you're looking to use your public podcast as a lead generation tool to private podcasting, where you have premium subscribers paying you a monthly amount for an online course or an online, content creation course, etc. So you get private podcasting straight out the bat with Captivate, and you can manage all your podcasts here. Super easy to add a new one. You just click add new, and then you can either create a new podcast, or if you're bringing it in from somewhere else, just import your podcast from that other podcast host or WordPress or wherever you're pulling it in from, and we will do all the magic for you and bring that show across for you. So we want to make it, as I say, really easy to manage your dashboard. We have guest booking feature, guest booking and management, and I know Alex is going to talk about PodMatch after this, I believe. So this is like a nice simple feature where you can invite guests. You have a guest booking landing page, and you can invite guests to appear on your show, to choose a time slot and a day. They can share all the social media details. They can share the bio that they'd like to use, what pronouns they prefer, etc. And then you'll get notification of that, and that will book that into your calendar slot. So it's a really nice, simple feature to really manage your guest opportunities. And as I say, we have a really simple website integration, whether that's with the 3 Captivate sites or with WordPress or even any other CMS. So as I mentioned, unlimited podcast, going back to that, really easy. The reason we give you unlimited podcasts is, if you take myself, I started podcasting way back in 2010, but it was one single episode over on Blog Talk Radio. Not sure if that counts. So going back to the actual podcasting, probably 2017, 2018, I really started getting into it. But I was over host where I had to have 1 podcast per account, which started to get pretty expensive as I started to build on more podcasts, because I was getting more into podcasting and enjoying it. So as I say, we allow you to create as many podcasts as you wish, and you can manage them easily from within here. And that gives you all analytics, etc., for every single podcast. So you can look at your analytics overview, and that just gives you a quick sort of snapshot of how many listeners you're getting and how many downloads you're getting over certain timeframes, and how your most recent 3 episodes have done in that time. We also give you deep dive analytics. So I'd mentioned that if you have a WordPress site or a CMS site like Wix or Squarespace or anything, and you use the Captivate podcast player embedded on that site, you'll get extra information about your audience and your listeners. So how long are they listening for? Where do they drop off on the episode? How much percentage of the episode is being listened to? What's the replay value? And that really lets you identify what content's working, what content may not be working, and lets you really tweak the kind of podcast episodes you're giving to your listeners, again, to continue growing your audience, your episodes, and your expertise. And it's everything we do at Captivate is tied in to make sure that it goes back to the mantra that I mentioned earlier: save you time and make you money or grow your show. Now, with that, Michael mentioned it on the introduction there, that Amy is one of our really cool features. So Amy is our audio monetization and insertion engine, which is a big fancy way of saying dynamic content and dynamic ads. And basically what dynamic content and dynamic ads do is it allows you to insert either pre-roll, mid-roll, or post-roll advertising or content across all of your episodes, or just specific episodes. Pre-roll goes in before your episode audio begins. Mid-roll is anywhere within the episode itself, and post-roll is after the episode audio. So if I was looking at an episode here, for example, let's look at the most recent episode on this one. You can see that that's a very clean publishing dashboard. So you have your title, your episode show notes, and this comes back to the dynamic show notes that I mentioned earlier, where this is all a template that's preset. You don't have to type anything in. It's already preset for you when you're on your episode creation. And if you look down here, there's a research links that I mentioned. So every single research link that we've pulled in for this episode will be displayed in the show notes and on the website and on the public RSS feed. So Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc. All this information will be here, which is great for your listeners to check the show notes and see the links and the details that you were talking about in that episode. But if you go down here, you can see that I've got Amy. So I've got default pre-roll, mid-roll, and post-roll. And it's really easy for me to add a slot. So if I only add a slot here at the 24-minute section, I would just have that. And I would replace the baked in advert. So I can do that here. And I choose which one I want to do here. I can go over to this slot and select a new post-roll. And that would allow me to select post-roll for episode 132. So again, you can do all this on the individual episode basis. And because this is dynamic, you can change this out at any time, either on an individual episode like this. So if you got a new sponsor, for example, or you have a new ad, or you want a new trailer or a new cross promotion with another podcast, you can go into episodes and swap out the older ad or the older content easily, either in individual episodes or with our bulk ad editor, which makes it even easier. So basically, you can go through your whole library and select either all or just filter it by month. So you may have a campaign, for example, in July. You only want episodes in July to show up because you've got a new ad for that particular month. So I would just want to go for July and filter. So I would go for these ones, and that would show me the July episodes. And I could then add the new ad that I want to put in for that particular month's campaign. So again, super, super simple. And you can do that with the mid-roll ads as well. So if you've got mid-roll ads in your episode, go to your bulk editor for your mid-rolls and just choose the ad and where they are and replace that with your new ad. If you've got a podcast that has old ads from an either old host or an old sponsor, and they're called baked in, where you've spoken about the ad and it's now inside your audio, you can't replace it easily without recording the episode or editing a big chunk of the episode and uploading a new audio file. You don't have to do that anymore. Our ad painter allows you to choose a section where that audio is, select the ad file, and then this section here will now have, if this is your old ad, for example, this will now place the new ad in there, hit save, and that new ad goes into this episode and replaces the old content. And finally, I'm just wary of the time up here, so I apologize. Finally, I know Michael's really keen on the simple website integration. As I mentioned, you have the free Captivate site. So the Spark of Rebellion, just move this away from here. So Spark of Rebellion, you can see what the website looks like. So you get a very clean design, a very effective design where you can optimize it with your branding, your logo, your custom colors. If you want to pin a trailer, all your episodes will appear here. As I mentioned, we support integrations with Aweber and MailChimp. So you can have lead generation and email sign-up forms already on your website, how to listen and where to listen, and about the podcast, support the show on Patreon with a direct integration to Patreon, and about your hosts, all cool features there. But you can also have the WordPress plugin. We have a dedicated WordPress plugin called Captivate Sync, which allows you to add or remove all the shows that you have in your Captivate account, and you can bring them all over to your website and allocate them to a different page on each site. And then you can publish from here. So if you go to your podcast, you can publish a new episode, and it just replicates every single thing in the Captivate dashboard for publishing. Super simple, but it also has website-specific features. So if you want a different featured image on your blog post or the Captivate episode post, you can upload that here. Who do you want to allocate the offer to? Do you want it to be me, or do you want it to be someone else? Has it got different categories? Has it got tags? Do you want it comments on? Do you want pingbacks and trackbacks? Do you want to have an excerpt, etc.? So again, it's a really simple free plugin that comes with all Captivate accounts, and it makes it super simple to have Captivate create, publish, and edit episodes either on WordPress or from your Captivate dashboard. So I'm just going to stop sharing. I think that's oh, there we go. Stop sharing. There we go. I think that's stopped sharing. I apologize. So yeah, I mean, as you can see, this was a quick 10-minute overview. Captivate has an incredible amount of features for the serious indie podcaster like yourself, and they're available, right now at Captivate. I know Michael's going to drop a link in to Captivate, but if you use the code BSS14, you'll get an extended free 14-day trial for all the features as well. And I think that's it. I think I kept within 10 minutes, maybe.
For maybe a metric 10 minutes. But that's okay, as long as I do want to put, so I'm going to link the chat because since I have this chance to shamelessly self-promote, I will. So I had the opportunity to get a podcast promoted if I could get up quickly enough. And that link that I have to my Neurodiversity Superpowers show, that is basically, except for changing one color, that is pure defaults. So I clicked the turn on website. I changed one color. That's what it is. I got the entire podcast up from there being no podcast to 5 episodes published in a Saturday morning, including that website. So, yeah, if you're looking at the site that he was showing and being like, oh, it's got some things, and I wonder how long it takes to set all that up. Now I haven't set up all the things that he had on the site he was showing, but if you go to mine, it's just like you can get out there and started by being like, start, go. And then there's all kinds of other things. So I was listening to that presentation, be like, well, I need to spend another 5 hours going through all the features I don't get, but at under $20 a month, I don't feel bad that I'm missing out on those things. I'll get to them. So it's a great thing there. So thank you so much, Danny, for sharing. And I'm very excited to be sharing what they do. And speaking of platforms that also share, that have also been very powerful for me, is PodMatch, which I'm super excited to have Alex here talking about this. I've made some amazing connections, including actually the person who connected me to the resource that's going to be promoting my podcast, which is why I had to get it out in 3 days. I met through PodMatch, as well as a number of other awesome people. So I'll let Alex tell you all about this. It's great for if you are a podcast host looking for guests, if you're a podcast guest looking for shows to be on, it is great for that. And I'll let Alex tell you the rest rather than me blathering on. Take it away, Alex.
Thanks, Michael. Hey, I think you took 25 seconds of my time, man. I'm just kidding. Michael, thank you so much for having me today. This is really cool. I've actually never been to an event laid out like this, but I'm really enjoying it because it's given me a really quick snapshot into things I've had on a list to eventually look at. But, when you do it yourself without someone internal, it can take like an hour or two. So it's just like always on this list of one day I'll look at these things, but you've given us the opportunity today to actually do this in 10 minutes. So thanks, Michael. This is a really cool thing. Love what you're doing here. So thanks again. Hi, everybody. I'll be really quick with what PodMatch is, and I'll show a couple examples here. First and foremost, PodMatch is a software that connects podcast guests and hosts together for interviews. For simplicity's sake, think of like a dating app, the way that works, but instead of connecting people for dates, we connect people for podcast interviews. So it uses the same sort of like AI system. Basically, you create a profile as a guest or a host, and it'll find you the opposite. And in our platform, you can do everything from figure out if you're interested. You can get all the details about the show or about the person. You can message in the platform. You can schedule. I mentioned in the chat that we actually, with Captivate, if you're using their scheduling tool, it works really well. Like it kind of integrates with PodMatch pretty easily. And you can just basically continue it and go straight to your hosting provider, right? It automates the whole process. Ideally, when we were setting this up, we wanted there to not need to be an email exchange if you don't want there to be. So again, if you're just like, man, I'm so tired of the 15 emails back and forth whenever I'm a guest or with my guest, you can kind of get rid of all of that. And so basically I'll explain how it all works, and I'll show you guys the screen real quick. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to PodMatch through the link looks like Michael already sent the link. Look at that, ahead of the game here. So you're just going to use that link and you're going to register an account as a guest, host, or both. So if you say, hey, I have a podcast, but I also like to be a guest, you can set up as what's called a hybrid. And then from there, after you do that, you're going to set up what is a one sheet if you're a guest. So if you already have a media one sheet, you can copy paste a lot of this. If not, it's a really good practice, because the reason hosts are always wanting more details from you is because you don't have them in one place. So it gives you a really nice digital one sheet to be able to use. And then if you're a podcast host, what you do is you describe your show, who's listening, and who your ideal guest is. And I'll show you both these things in a minute. But the reason those things are important, we ask for those up front before you're displayed to any other members of PodMatch, is because that's how the matching algorithm works. So it has 39 different pieces of criteria it's going to match you against, but it's pulling all of it from your profile. So again, if you're a guest and you're like, I really like to talk about real estate investing is my thing, I like to talk about Airbnb, it's going to find a podcast saying, hey, I need a guest who really knows Airbnb and real estate investing well. That's who I'm looking for. And then it'll automatically put the two of you together. And there's no obligation. If you're like, hey, this podcast seems crazy, the host is like super loud, talks really fast, I'm not interested, right? You can just as easily press pass as you can press match. It's, again, works just like a dating app. We are not forcing anyone to go on a date/podcast interview. That would be terrible. Anyway, so once you do that, you can just use our built-in messaging system to go back and forth. And then from there, you can figure out a time to do the interview, or you can connect directly to the host calendar, get it scheduled. It'll show up on the dashboard. It keeps it really organized. And at that point, that's kind of the end of the whole thing. It'll basically log it all through PodMatch and show you. So I will take questions in a minute here, but first I'm just going to show you guys, do a screen share here. And I'm never quick at this screen share thing. Some people just like get it like that, I feel like. Can you all see the screen? Someone like give me a thumbs up or something like that.
Yes, we can see the screen. I
Cool.
see
All
it
right,
on that
sweet.
screen.
So this is the dashboard. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here because it's going to be overwhelming. I will say we're generous with our commissions. Everyone's eyes gravitate towards this. No one else has that much commission, but I've never gotten paid out. So I don't really know if I trust these PodMatch people. I remind my co-founder all the time, I'm like, when am I going to get paid out for my commission I've earned? But anyway, so ignore that. But aside from that, you can see I did 168 interviews on here. And the part I wanted to show you in the dashboard, again, I'm going to skip through all this, is I want to show you the upcoming interviews. So these are interviews I have coming up. I'm a guest on this podcast, a guest on this podcast. I'm hosting Melanie on my show. So these are different upcoming interviews that I have on either side of the mic, because again, I'm a hybrid member. So I have a podcast guest account and host account. And then this is something that's really cool. These are podcasts either that are mine from episodes of my show or shows I've been on. And it's really cool because something that as a podcast guest, it's always kind of frustrating is you don't know when a host is going to release an episode with you, usually till day of, if they even say anything. So like, here's the way that I know that like I just recently was released on a few different podcasts and I've got some coming up. So I know that I'm going to have an episode with me released on it, which I think is a really cool thing. And then I can actually build it into my marketing campaign instead of just be like, oh, today I was on a podcast, apparently, right? Like it just came out. You can actually see those things, which I think is a really cool thing. At the top, I mentioned matches and then messages as well. And there's some other fun features in here, but I'll just click on one just to show you kind of how this works. And keep in mind that I am an admin on this. So my account is a little slower and has some of the stuff is wonky on it. So forgive me for that. But this is a podcast that it was matching me with. And you can see up here, I have a message option where I can just start a conversation with them. I can hit maybe later if I'm not sure right now. I can pass if I know it's just not a right fit. Or if for some reason we did an interview prior to having PodMatch, I can do previously interviewed. Or I can press this pin feature and I can just add like a little note and attach it to my dashboard. So later on, I can go back to that person if I want. And then I'd probably just hit maybe later. And then I'd be able to just follow up from the dashboard. But here's like all the things that it has. And these are like the internal things. Everything else is external. So I'll show you that really fast here. This is my profile as a guest. So again, this is a one sheet. This is a public link. Like anybody can go to this domain. There's actually, again, I'm an admin. There's a more friendly version of that link. Actually, alexsanfilippo.com takes you to a more friendly version of this if you want to see that. But this is everything about me when it comes to me being on a podcast. I have a video pitch on there. I have a little bit about me, some tags just so people can kind of see what I'm talking about. Approved images. So like photos of me that you're approved to use. My bio that most hosts end up reading. My desired call to action. So where I want hosts to send listeners when they want to know more about me and a little bit about that. And then I like this, ideas for topics. So like what could the focus be in the form of like titles? So it's helping the host decide, oh, this is cool. All my links, of course, right? And then some questions I'm always ready to answer, which I think is really important. Most hosts don't use these, or if they do, they kind of tweak them a little bit, but it's great to have a framework in case a host just totally gets stuck and they're like, I don't know what to ask you next, right? Give them something. And then some past appearances I've had on some other shows, and then internal PodMatch reviews. This is another really cool thing because a lot of hosts, they're like kind of nervous to interview guests because they're not sure how they're going to do. But if you're on PodMatch, hosts are leaving you reviews so they can go see, okay, this person has done really well on some shows that I know, which I think is a really cool thing. Flip side, and this is a really quick one. This is just the PodMatch host profile. So you can see the description, title, the category. And then what I really like, my favorite part is ideal guest criteria, where literally the host describes their ideal guest. Who are they looking for to be on the show? A little about them, some tags, and then what you need to know / the flow of the podcast. So again, you're not like showing up and have no clue what you're about to get into. You can actually see that. And then who you're talking to, who the audience actually is on the show. And that's everything that we've got going on with PodMatch. It's been a really cool thing. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen, so don't get nervous when my face just pops back up. Here we go. I'm back. But yeah, it's been a really cool thing. We've got about 25,000 people using PodMatch right now. It's about half and half guests, half hosts, which is really, really cool to be able to see. And at the end of the day, I really find podcasts can be powerful for anybody in business, author, coach, speaker. It really helps further that stage and that personal brand that you have, because I find that podcasting really helps people develop that know, like, and trust with you, especially when you're a guest, because people can hear you for more than just a second when they're scrolling past you on social media, right? They're going to listen to you and give you 20, 30 minutes of their undivided attention, or attention while they're working out or driving, right? Or cleaning, whatever it might be. But they're going to be listening and hearing what you have to say. And to me, that's really a very powerful form of media that I still find to be really underutilized. And our goal here was to make this whole thing more simple and get those ideal guests and hosts together as fast as possible. So in turn, they can serve the world with some great content. And that is everything I've got with PodMatch. I'll turn it back over to you, Michael. If there's any questions, I'm here to serve however I can.
All right. I think we had a couple of different questions in the chat. One question was, if someone's been interviewed previously, can they add that to their PodMatch account?
Yep. So at any point, if you see, like, let's just imagine you're a podcast guest and you see a host that's previously had you on the show, you can click to their profile, and at the top, there's that purple bar that will say previously interviewed. You can click that and you can pick if you know about the time when it was released and stuff like that. So it can just all get logged properly for you. And then the host will confirm that as well. And you can leave each other reviews and stuff like that. But yes, you can definitely mark something as previously interviewed.
Right. And the other question is, can you have two different profiles, one for your business and one as a writer or author on a different topic, for example?
Yeah, we have a few people that do that. There's an agency version of PodMatch. So like if you are like representing multiple people, we've got about 100 and some odd agency clients that are managing up to 200 different clients from one dashboard. But if they're both just you, I always recommend just having two profile logins. And if you're like, oh man, because you do need two different email addresses then, but there's a fun email trick. If you just like, my email address is, let's just say alex@creatingabrand.com. If you do Alex plus 2@creatingabrand.com, it actually registers as two separate email addresses, but it goes to the same inbox, which is like a fun fact. And you can do that as many times as you want. So you add a plus to any email address at the start. You can register and log in as a different email address, but it's technically the same one. Fun fact. But yeah, so if you were like, I need two of them, but I'm not an agency, I want to be individual, just use that plus feature. If you have two separate email addresses, because it's two separate businesses, that's fine as well.
So like if you had two different podcasts, you could have two different accounts.
Correct. Yep. And if you get to the point though, where you have like, we have one person and she has 5 podcasts, which blows my mind. I can only have one. I don't know how anyone does more than one. Michael, God bless you. I know you have two now, right?
4.
Oh, you have 4? Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Everyone applause to Michael. So what a lot of those people do is they just create an agency account for themselves, so they can just have one login and one dashboard. But it's really however you like to use it. There's no right or wrong way from that regard, really.
Okay. Does the agency account cost something or?
Yeah. Yep. And I am the worst when it comes to that stuff. I believe it's all on there. Like if they go to your affiliate link and click, there's an agency button. I'm not going to misspeak. I'm not 100% sure what it's at, but you'll be able to find that pretty quick on there.
Okay. All right.
Sorry for not knowing off the top of my head. Guys. Sorry.
That's okay. I'm sure you talking big pictures.
My wife is really good at that side of the business. So
yeah, you're a big picture guy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much. This is great. And all right, there we go. There's their move spot. I think there's like keyboard shortcuts for doing stuff like removing spotlight.
I don't know any of them,
but
yes,
I
there are.
don't know any of them either. So
thanks again, everybody. I appreciate y'all being here.
Yeah. All right. So next up, we are going to be hearing from Vered about Xplor. So Vered Learner, come on down.
Thank you.
Tell us about Xplor and all that.
Thank you so much. So Xplor is a new business platform. So I had a dream, and for many years I wanted something that I couldn't find out there, didn't exist. And as much as I love LinkedIn and I'm very active on it, as well as the other business platforms, it didn't have everything that I wanted as a professional, as a business owner, things that I could do without having so many limitations and, having to opt in and pay for things, just to connect with others. And LinkedIn wasn't built as a networking platform. That's not what it was there for. So I had this dream, and it was building like a fantasy in my head. And over the years, everybody was saying to me, it's not the time, it costs a lot of money, and you're going to have a lot of people involved and bring the right talent in. The technology is not there yet. And so I always just dusted it off, put it back on the shelf, and I never gave up on it. And over COVID, I met with someone who is in the tech world, and I'm going to start my presentation so I can introduce you to her and to the third partner. And together we were able to bring this to you. So I'm going to share my screen. Let me know when you can see it.
I see it.
Awesome. Okay, so Xplor is I'll tell you about the team first. So I am with BizDance Services. So BizDance is a full-service management consulting agency. We offer and provide business services as well as an academy. So I do corporate training and all of that. We specialize in simplifying, automating, systemizing everything. And I partner with experts just like you guys. So I'm very excited to be here today and to be able to bring all of these services to my clients, and they can have sort of a one-stop shop in the true sense, but I won't get into that business right now. I also have DLC, which is Varied Learner Coaching, where I focus on the individual from within. And my area of expertise and specialty is emotional intelligence. And I just love people and making their lives better in any way that I can. So Kim Schofield is the person that I was talking about. She's got a company called Blonde Bad Wolf. She is a cybersecurity expert dealing with some of the largest companies around the world. And she is just amazing. So this was the woman who was able to bring my dream and make it a reality. Dave Berger is, he's very similar to Michael, where he brings people together, but he was one of the first to bring networking digitally when COVID hit, and he's got some of the fastest growing networking groups around, and he's into leadership, so personal leadership. All right. And what is Xplor? So we are a forward-thinking community. It's more than just, I don't know what just happened, but okay, let's go back here. We are a forward-thinking community, and I don't know why it's automating this and going fast. Hold on, I'm so sorry. Okay. I'm just gonna stop this thing for a second. All right. We are revolutionizing the business experience, and how do we do that? Is by bringing together all the things that you need as a business person onto one platform. And what do we mean by that? It is because we wanted to bring everything that we couldn't find out there into one place and have it working for you in the way that you need. So everybody's going to have a different experience based on what they're interested in and what they need out of the platform. And I'm just going to show you a little bit of what you can find in there. So this is a place for forward thinkers to grow. I have no idea why it's doing this. We are looking to inspire, to make an impact. We want to really foster relationships and collaborations versus, you know, when you go onto LinkedIn or Alignable or anything like that, you get a lot of spam, a lot of people that are just there to say, hey, can we connect because I want to sell you this. We don't want to do that. We want to make sure that people are meeting for the right reasons and learning how to have these relationships in order to further their businesses. So same old is out, new ways are in, and we're focusing on education, e-commerce, and resources. And everyone pretty much is a welcome addition to our platform. Now I'm going to pause it. So we want people to see and be seen, right? So we have a section for community, which is what you're used to in a platform. So that would be building your profile and then sharing, commenting, all of that. But it's a different way of building your profile because there's actually a checklist of how to do it properly. So when you go into LinkedIn and you're like overwhelmed with how to create your beautiful, amazing, 5-star profile, this thing builds it for you with you plugging in the information, and it has a checklist for how you are doing and what they're suggesting, what you should do to connect with others and to really use the platform to the max. Events, we are having events on there for education, for networking. We have speakers with all kinds of different things that are available. And the beauty of it is that when you have your own events, you can also post them in the platform and have people come to your events as well. So we're very excited about that. Okay, and then we have, this is one of my favorite parts, we have on-demand videos in our Learning Center, which focuses on business and professional development, as well as another one for work-life balance, which really focuses on the individual from within, health and wellness, exercise, nutrition, DIYs for your workspace and your life space, and working on you as an individual. So when you want to take a break away from business, this is where you would come to take a look at other videos. And what we really like is these videos are all created by members of the platform that we've identified as experts in their fields. So people like you can come in and also affiliate with us and create content, and then all of the backlinks will go back to you, and that way you're generating a following, and hopefully it leads to business. We have real people supporting here. So again, these are the same experts that we've identified. So the Ask the Expert section was built in a way that when you need somebody, some people don't have a mentor, some people don't have, a consultant or somebody to go to ask a question. And so what do? They go to Google or they go to LinkedIn, but they're not really sure if they're getting the right advice from the right person. So when you're following these experts, or if you need a specific thing, you go there, you get matched with whomever it is that you select, and then you can ask your one-off question, or they ask it of you. And then when it leads to more, then it generates another client for you. The Influencer Hub is something specific that we created here. There is not currently that we've been able to find a platform that has a dedicated space for influencers who don't necessarily get the recognition and respect that they deserve in the business world. So they get looked down upon. And so we've created this space for them to not only interact with each other, but also to teach other people how to become influencers in the best way, and to be able to offer their services to the other members of the platform. And coming soon, we're going to be launching the Young Brilliant Minds. This is a junior academy with gamification, mentoring, celebrating achievements of people under the age of 18 who either have a current business or are looking to get into business. And what they're going to learn here is what they don't learn in school. So we really wanted to bring together a group of experts to be able to mentor the young brilliant minds, and with parental involvement. Obviously, we will also be offering the junior academy so they can learn things about financial fitness and about coding and about all kinds of different business topics that they will not be exposed to at a younger level. So this is where they'll be able to come and get all of that. Very exciting. The main difference about our platform is that it has an attached marketplace. So if we can think about Amazon for professional services, anybody who wants to use or to buy from the marketplace will have to have an account, just like you have to have an account from any other online store. And anybody who is a member on the Xplor platform can apply to have a store on there to be able to sell directly to other members. This is where all the e-commerce is going to take place. We're just about to roll that out in the near future, and we're just taking the applications in right now. So you'll be able to do the e-commerce directly there. And again, this whole platform was built with the idea of not having people leave. We want everyone to stay on the platform to be able to maximize the results for everyone involved. So what can you expect? We're going to have business solutions, services and training for consulting, corporate training, leadership development, and financial fitness for both adults and children and businesses, because they're all different. We're also going to have in technology, cryptocurrency, so information and education around airdrops, NFTs, mining investments, and of course, virtual reality, which will be introduced as a big part of the platform. And then the services that are going to be on there are leading edge tech, but at a very reduced cost to our members, and software development, cybersecurity, and infrastructure solutions that you don't have to go outside. You can purchase them directly on the platform from experts who are in that realm. And coming soon, we will have the virtual reality, not necessarily with the goggles, but you'll be able to take your avatar to different places around the world to do a lot of things that you're currently doing now with just Zoom or something like that. And then cryptocurrency is something that we're going to be introducing for members to be able to use when they're accepting payments on our platform. So if you'd like, we encourage you to join us and create your free account. Now, everyone's going to have a free account just like any other platform. We will be introducing paid memberships for access to different parts of the platform as we're rolling them out. And to anyone who joins through here today, if you can just send me a note when you join and let me know that you came from Michael's event, you will have lifetime access to the first level of paid membership once those are introduced. So if you have any questions, do let me know. I couldn't cover everything, obviously, on this, but there's so much involved on there. And the more, the merrier. So the more members we have, the better off everyone is going to be. So if you would like to share this with your network, that would be great as well. I'll stop my share now. And if there are any questions, I will take.
All right, that looks like a great platform. Yeah, in those platforms that give people a chance to connect in that 2.0, 3. I don't know what level the web we're up to yet, but yeah, next generation kind of connection tools are always great, especially because once something gets saturated like LinkedIn, then all the spammers get there and the newbies who don't know how to pitch, and so they're like, "Hey, buy my stuff." So it's great to have something that's a little less Wild West.
Yeah, and more than that, we wanted to get away from the pressure of selling and the pressure of just getting leads and trying to convert them into sales. We really want to go in from a different angle and what value can we provide and how can we support each other. And you might not be good for me a match as a client or vice versa, but you have a whole network of people who might be. So when you get into that mentality of thinking and just coming from a good place, paying it forward, that's the forward thinking. And we're always, in terms of technology and solutions and resources, that is the place to go because we're bringing in really the best of the best from those worlds.
All right, great. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And so I put the link in the chat there, which I don't think I need to put again because it's still pretty near the bottom. So definitely everyone's interested, hop in on that one. And next up, speaking of people with impressive resumes, let me find the button here. There we go. Add spotlight. So when Mitch first told me about Clientfolio, this is one of those things where I heard the people who need this need like a minute and a half explanation. They're like, oh my God, where has this been all my life? And so I believe I was actually talking to Mitch when I first came up with the concept of the Business Solutions Showcase, because I thought there needs to be an event sort of, which this probably was something put in the introduction, but I was basically thinking of this as something like home shopping channel for services, because people watch the home shopping channel on purpose because they know they need stuff. So why not do it for business stuff as well? And if you are a coach, I think if you're a coach, then now is the time to, come back from the kitchen. And so if you're a coach, you should come back from the kitchen now, because you're definitely going to want to hear what Mitch has to say. This is a very, very powerful platform. And I do see that Kimberly Crow has arrived. So assuming that she's still here when Mitch is done, then she will do a much better explanation of her program than I did earlier. So stick around for that as well. But Mitch, I will let you take it away and tell us all about Clientfolio.
Sure. Well, thank you for inviting me, Michael. It's so much fun being here. Love seeing all these great products. But if you're a coach, let me know if you identify with some of my problems. Now, look, I got a lot of problems, but I want to see if you identify with these particular problems. One of them is I hate spending time on admin. Love coaching. Can't stand the 15, 20, 25 minutes of getting the session notes together and sent off to the client and then having to dig them up at the end before I meet with them the following week. So I'm going to do a little demo for you, but I'm going to do it backwards. I've never done it before backwards, but I'm going to do it backwards. So let me share my screen. And I'm showing you the homework that your clients receive if you are a coach. So imagine getting this nice, beautifully formatted homework that has all of your notes, all of their assignments, all of their accountability questions, all of their stats during the entire time you've been working with them, recording to the session and a lot of other cool stuff like the next meeting date, etc. Now, does your homework look like that? I'm going to say probably not. Well, that's what Clientfolio puts out. But here's some cool stuff. Like, let's say that your client gets this and says, woo, login credentials. I wonder what those are. And then they log in and they see their dashboard. Imagine clients having their own dashboard. Every time you run a session, this dashboard updates for them. Now, why would they need a dashboard? Well, truth is that they can get all their past sessions right here, every one of them. And when they click on any link at all, the past sessions, the notes and homework and everything just opens right up. But the other cool thing about this is they also get to enter their stats. Now, when I set up a new client, I asked them, what do you care most about? Would you care about revenue? Do you care about conversations? Ruben and I had this same conversation about what to track inside of his CRM. Well, this is for coaches who want to track things. And by the way, I have health coaches who track steps, who track calories. Doesn't matter. As long as you can numerically express it, you could set this up so that your client can go in here and fill in these numbers every single week. And when they do, they get to see their progress just by clicking the button. Now, why is this useful? Well, let me tell you, there's nothing more motivating or possibly demotivating than seeing your stats go down after all this great work you did to get them this high. You want to keep going. And you could change the colors, by the way, but that's kind of what this is about. Now, finally, I also always set up accountability questions for my clients. And we have the ability for your clients not to just answer the accountability questions that you give them, but even to select and create their own if you let them do so. Now, all these categories are categories that you, as the coach, get to add. So if you have a module-based learning system and you're running people through a group coaching environment, you can basically set them up so that the module every week, the questions can change by you every time you teach the next module. So this is the client. That's what they get. You saw the homework. But then there's one of the cool little feature. What happens if the client has a question about the assignment? Well, they could call you on the phone and interrupt your lunch, or they could send you an email on a Friday afternoon and you wouldn't even notice it because of all the junk that comes through, or they can create a little quite simple question that goes directly to you. So I don't understand what you said, blah, blah, blah. And at this point, whatever question you ask, at this point now, remember, we don't hate email, but we're not a fan of email. So now it's time, it's Monday morning, you get back to work and you say, you know what, I'm going to get started. So I go to Clientfolio, I log in, and one of the nice things that happens right away is I see my main screen. And the first thing I'm going to do, because I'm about to start a coaching session, is I'm going to pick a coach. I'm going to pick a client. And this client in particular, let's go to the session screen and do it there. I'm going to pick Jane. Jane is my very favorite fictitious client. She pays me fictitious money on time every month. That's why I enjoy working with her so much. But here's where we work. This is where we live inside of Clientfolio. This is our session screen. Now, remember I told you a minute ago that Jane just sent me a question. Well, how do I know that Jane sent me a question? There it is. Jane just posted that question, and I do have to move the page to see it, but there it is. And I need some help. Okay, Jane, now I know you need some help, but we can go right back to this. We can answer the question if we want. We go back to the session screen and go right back into the client that we were working with, and they say resume. And now we have the ability to take notes, to assign homework or note the homework that we want. We have the ability to assign accountability questions on the fly while we're in the session. And so if we wanted to, if you're doing a partner recruiting thing and you say, I really want to know about partners, well, notice it changes immediately. And then, of course, at the end of the session, we're going to schedule the next meeting. But now some of the much more fun stuff comes into place. Remember, now we took some notes, we set up some assignments, and you know how those look, because if you look here at a past session, this is literally what I just showed you, what the client receives. So the client receives what you type and how you format it inside of the Clientfolio screen. But notice down here, you get some choices to make. First of all, I always like to send myself a BCC, so I make sure that it's showing up looking the way I want. Secondarily, if you want to, and I do, put in the Zoom links to all of the clients that I coach for each session, what that ends up doing is it gives you a record of all the sessions you've coached. Now, what I showed you before was called the client portal. So we want to enable the client portal. Now, some people take notes, but they don't want the notes to be shared with their client. That's okay. In this case, we could share them. The other thing you saw with the graphs, that's their stats. Well, maybe some clients don't use stats. That's fine too. All these things are things that you choose that you want to add or not add to the client. Now, let's say you have a group coaching program. Well, right now we have basic group coaching. We have advanced group coaching coming in 2 weeks. And all you got to do is go boom and drop all these email addresses right into this, and the entire group will get the email that I just showed you a minute ago. So this is really all you need to do to admin your session. No more emails, no more taking notes in one app, no more collecting stats in a spreadsheet in another app, no more apps spread out all over the screen. One screen. Excuse me. One screen, you get too excited. One screen does everything. And here's something for people who have more than one coach. You have the ability to add coaches for the same price, which is $29.97 a month. And this is the coach productivity page. So notice here would be a list of all of our coaches. Apologize for the technical difficulty. Now I see a list of all the coaches. I see the number of sessions that coach coached. I then see all the clients and all the cumulative time. And then for any one of these, I can click on this and see every single session, every single coach coached, giving me a full audit trail for me to sort of peek in and see how my coaches are doing. And by the way, if I want to listen in, I can just click on this link here and grab that session and listen in as well. So this is a full featured accountability system, client system, coaching system for you to run your coaching practice. As before, we talked about adding accountability questions. You could add as many accountability questions as you like. Sometimes the order is important, so feel free to move them around as you like. You could add categories, as we talked about. And frankly, there's just so much else is in here. I'm not sure I can cram it into my time. How am I doing on time, Michael?
You have 1 minute left.
1 minute. Okay. So in that last minute, I thought maybe I would open it up for questions, or if it's okay, I'd like to share the Coach Elevation book too. Is that okay?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So if you go to www.coachelevation.com, and it needs to have the www there. What you'll do is you'll be able to download my new book for free. This book, by the way, is the companion to the software, because it gives you the full overview process of what I do every single time that I work with a client directly and in session. But in terms of the Clientfolio software, Michael's going to put a link in there now. Oh, if he hasn't already. Oh, there it is. Good. Good. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer any questions about the software, about who uses it and how it's used, about anything related to your personal usage. And by the way, inside of your own profile, let's say edit profiles. If you're not a coach, maybe you're a consultant, maybe you're a therapist, you can change the terminology for whoever you are and whatever you do. So I'll stop sharing right now and leave it for any questions that might come up.
All right. Does anyone have a quick question? And it's okay if you don't, because I think that kind of speaks for itself. As I was saying, I know I saw in the chat, I was like, I want to do more coaching just so I can use this. So I saw this platform, like I have 1 or 2 coaching clients, but it's very secondary to my business. But I'm like, this tool is so great, I want to need it. So
that's great.
But yeah, definitely for anyone who is a coach, that is a great tool. And I'm so glad we got this together. I remember, I think originally our original date we were planning for this was like May 18th. And then we pushed it back a bit because we had, I think, 2 or 3 presenters lined up. But we are here and it is good. And so thank you very much for sharing the Clientfolio platform and for making the Clientfolio platform, because it's a great tool. So, and so our final presenter is Kimberly. Are you here? Oh, there you are. That's the one with your face. There's 2 of you. There's too many. So many Kimberlys. I think the internet would crash if there were 2 Kimberlys on it at the same time. So I briefly, for those of you who are like, Speakers Playhouse sounds familiar, I briefly went over it. But Kimberly is actually here now, and she will do a much better job explaining Speakers Playhouse. And you're going to talk about Podapalooza as well?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So you got 10 minutes. Use it as you like. I'll go.
Use it efficiently. Use it effectively. Use it for fun. Use it for goofballery. What are we going to use it for, ladies and gentlemen? Well, oh my gosh, I'm super excited. I'm Kimberly Crow. For those of you who don't know me, I am the co-host of Speakers Playhouse and also the co-host of Podapalooza, which Michael mentioned. Speakers Playhouse is an amazing event. It is just like your favorite TV show. It happens every single week on Thursdays at 10:30 a.m. PST to noon PST. And it is the best 90 minutes of your week or your money back. It's a totally fun, goofballery, awesome time to be able to share who you are and what you're up to in the world. Why? Because first, we're going to bring on a whole bunch of stage hosts, people who have stages that are looking for guest speakers to come and share their knowledge with their tribe. So if you give a talk, you're going to want to come to Speakers Playhouse because you're going to be wanting to hear all of the stage hosts and what kinds of guests they're looking for. Then after all of the stage hosts get a chance to come on the screen and share what kinds of guests they're looking for and what type of show they have, the name of the show, the audience they have, then all of the speakers get to come up and share their talk title, their name, and the types of audiences they're looking for. So even if you have somebody who didn't come to the front of the stage, or perhaps somebody who was on somebody else's podcast and they're listening to your talk and they're like, she would be fabulous to come speak on so-and-so's podcast, and you guys can network and interact. Now, the cool thing about this, that it's not like a TV show, is that you actually are the stars of the show. You're going to be able to come on, grab the mic, and share your message with the world. How cool is that? Very cool. Put it in the chat box right now if you think that's very cool. Put very cool in the chat box. If you are a speaker, you definitely need to come to Speakers Playhouse. It's a great opportunity to be able to share your message with a whole bunch of show hosts. But if you are a show host, it's even better. Why? Because you get to come on the mic twice. You get to share your show with our audience and fill up your calendar with a whole bunch of really incredible guests that are fully prepared to come and speak on your show about topics that they are experts on. So if you are a show host, please put a 1 in the chat box. Put a 1 in the chat box if you're a show host, because you will be absolutely amazed at how fast you're going to fill your speaking calendar. We usually have somewhere between 70 and 110 people on at any given time during Speakers Playhouse. And it happens every single week. So you can come on and share your show and then come back the following week and get a whole bunch of new guests. We have had people fill their entire calendar for the season with just 3 visits to Speakers Playhouse. The 4th visit, they don't raise their hand anymore as a show host because they're full for the calendar year. What? Yes, because they have totally booked it. It is super, super fun. Now, if you're really not interested in getting on in-person stages, and if you're really not interested in getting on web summits and being able to do video presentations, and you're really just after podcasts, maybe Speakers Playhouse isn't the place for you. It probably is, because a lot of you need to be able to get your message out to the world. However, if you're looking only for podcasts, I have a great program for you. It's called Podapalooza. What? That's right. Podapalooza. Hard to spell, fun to say, but really a lot of ridiculousness. So what Podapalooza is a one-day event where we have speakers come to the main stage. They share all about how to really up your game and make money by podcast guesting. Making money by podcast guesting. As a matter of fact, we have 101 ways to make money from podcast guesting at Podapalooza. And that's not with having your own podcast. That's just by speaking on other people's stages. How cool is that? Very cool. So Podapalooza, I'm going to go ahead and put the notes in the chat, because the link in the chat, because it's like a lot of fun to say. It is. But you can find out about it at Speakers Playhouse. So you can come to Speakers Playhouse and find out about Podapalooza, or you can check out the link in the chat when I put it in there. But we would love to have you do that. It's a 10-hour day. But it's not just about the main stage. The coolest thing, and Michael knows this because he was at Podapalooza. In fact, he was one of our featured podcasters at Podapalooza. Our Podapalooza featured podcasters go into a special breakout room with individual VIPs, and the VIPs get to get interviewed on up to 5 podcasts in a single day. That's right. How many of you have a goal of getting on 1 podcast a month? You can knock out 5 months worth. If you have a goal of getting out 1 a week, over a month's worth of podcasts are knocked out possibly in 1 day. Totally awesome opportunity. And it is all kinds of fun. Goofballery, fun, enjoyment, activity, energy, vibration, totally awesome. Podapalooza and Speakers Playhouse. I'm Kimberly Crow.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Let me bring myself on the screen here. There we go. Yeah, when is the next Podapalooza? Is that set yet?
Yes, I have to look it up. I think it's October 19th.
Okay, because I was looking at Thrivecard and I don't have a link for it.
Oh, let me get you one. I'll throw
Oh.
that one in the chat.
I need to get hooked up there. But I did put the link in the chat way below all your
For
chat
Speakers Playhouse?
interaction, all your chat engagement. Push my link to the top here. So that's the link for Speakers Playhouse, and that is Thursdays at 1:30 Eastern, my time,
That's
Eastern
right.
time.
Cool thing. We actually have a high contingent of Australians on that are wanting to do Speakers Playhouse, but Australians, it's like 3 a.m. their time. So several of our friends that were Australians came to us and said, could you please have one for us Aussies? And I was like, you mean like an evening edition? And they were like, that'd be great. So now once a month on the first Wednesday of the month, we have it at 7:30 p.m. PST. And we have an evening edition, also known as the Aussie version of Speakers Playhouse. It happens that Wednesday night at 7:30 is actually Thursday morning at 10:30 a.m. So it's the same Speakers Playhouse. It's just Aussie time.
Oh, I like it. Oh, nice. Yeah. So well done. So you're going global.
We have been global, but yes,
Well,
absolutely.
You're
You
going
know
global.
how global we are now that you threw that out there. I'm going to say that last year on Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving falls on a Thursday. American Thanksgiving falls on a Thursday, right? And my partner was like, Jenny was like, are we really going to have Speakers Playhouse on Thanksgiving? And I'm like, yeah, nobody wants to spend that much time with their families. Plus, we're global, man. That just happens in America. It doesn't happen everywhere. We got to have Speakers Playhouse on Thursday. And we had about 70 people on during American Thanksgiving. And I was like, yeah, nobody wants to spend that much time with their families.
Love it. All right. So there you go. So thank you, Kimberly. Glad you're able to join, because you do a much better job explaining than I do, I think. I don't know. If anyone, anyone who's here at the beginning, put in the chat if you think I explained it better or she explained it better.
I just said it was goofballery. That's all it really is.
That's true. I didn't use the word goofballery. See, yep, Cindy says you. I didn't say goofballery. There's difference. You tried to, show it being Kimberly and explaining Kimberly. You cannot explain Kimberly Crow. Some concepts cannot be put into words. Goofball palooza. There we go. All right. Well, and so that is our last presenter. So let's see, remove the spotlight here. I do have one other link I'm going to put in the chat, which I'm going to speak on briefly, but there's not actually a presenter attached to it, because, that's kind of how I run things. I thought we were going to have a presenter. It didn't happen. So there is a platform that I use called Influencersoft, not to be confused with Infusionsoft, which is a different thing. Influencersoft is a platform for funnels. It's sort of, at the lower level, you got things like MailChimp and Constant Contact, and then up high you have things like ClickFunnels and the more expensive, very complex software. Influencersoft fits right in the middle. It's under $100 a month and gives you all kinds of tools for building funnels and email marketing and whatnot. If you got emails about this, they either came from Influencersoft or they came through EventRaptor, which is the tool that I've used for this. So when you registered, that was EventRaptor. That registration page was EventRaptor. It makes running things like summits super easy. And one of these links is the right one. Is that the right one? Figure I might as well share the EventRaptor link too, if you're like, I'd like to run more events. Here we go. There it is. So if you're looking to run summits and run events like this, EventRaptor is a great all-in-one tool that is remarkably affordable. It's funny, what I got in was still the pay once for life thing. And then they went to monthly. And I was like, the monthly is almost a better, obviously the pay once for life over the course of years will pay off, but the monthly, it's really much lower than I expected. And I was like, that's pretty cool. So the rate for what they do is amazing. So glad that, let me switch back to the gallery view so we can see everyone, which means I need to unpin myself. Otherwise it's only me not seeing gallery view. Hello, everybody. Of course, I can't see a lot of you. Your cameras are off, which is totally fine because we've been in speaker view the whole time. This was totally an event that, and sometimes this happens, any of you run events will totally sympathize this. This morning, I'm like, oh, I got this business solution show. I think it's coming together. Okay. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to run it again because so much work went into it. I got other projects going on. I'm feeling differently now. I feel like this is something I may want to run again because it worked out really well and we got some good engagement. And I'm glad that that content mapping system set up send me email notifications when people sign up, because then our first presenter, I check my email and bing, 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 bing. Yes, that's why I'm doing this. Sadly, I don't think the other ones do. But I would assume if people were signing up with our first one, they're probably signing up with the other ones. And thus that is value. If you have any feedback on the event, you're going to get an email after this, which will contain the recording. So also if you missed anything, if you came in late, if you took a nap, if you had to run off to the bathroom, whatever, you can go back. I'm going to go through and figure out what the start times are for each presenter. And the challenge is that there's a specific thing I'm looking for is everything here was under $100 a month, because I wanted to do something where if you bought everything that was available, I didn't actually do the math, but I think if you buy everything, it's like $290 a month for everything there. I think there might be some upgrades that make it a little bit more. But you know, if you buy everything that's being offered, it's like under $300 for the whole smash. And then we got some things like Speakers Playhouse, which is $0. You can buy that like 3 times. And Xplor is also $0. You can buy that 4 times. You know,
Podapalooza is $5.
$5. You can buy that 4 times. It's $20. So yeah, so trying to find things like that. If you know of other great services that fit into that rubric, they're under $100 and they're the kind of thing someone looks at and says, "Where have you been all my life?" Then please connect me, because I may be convinced to do this again at some point in my copious free time. So thank you everyone for coming, for making it exciting, for making it something I want to run again. I hope that it served you and got you some valuable resources. And check your emails. You will also, so you'll get emails directly from this, which will have the links, and then you're going to get a couple of emails because everyone who came in, I'm going to invite you into my community and share you content about Michael Whitehouse, the guy who knows a guy, at which point you'll have a choice. You can say, "I love this, I want to keep getting these," or you can just click the unsubscribe button at the bottom. Either one's fine. I don't cry when people unsubscribe, but I rejoice when they stay and they enjoy it, because I try to produce good content. So you'll be getting it whether you want to or not, but you can unsubscribe if you don't want it. So there you are. Welcome to my world. And I will hopefully share good things that you will enjoy. And you can listen to lots of podcasts that I share out through Captivate.fm. And I will see you around. So I'm going to turn off the recording. I'm going to leave the room open for another couple minutes if anyone wants to connect in the room or through the chat. But that's all we're going to share. If you weren't here live, then amazing things are about to happen in the next 5 minutes. Sorry, be there live next time. But the most valuable things are, of course, here in this recording. Thanks for joining us.